Pete? Pete! Who is it? Who's in command here?
Major Vincent Crane.
Well, I'd like to speak to the Major, please. Out here. Right away.
Yes?
You Major Crane?
Major Crane, what is it? What's that?
He's in uniform, and I think that maybe he might be a member of your detachment.
Lieutenant Robert Bromley. Been shot.
That's right.
Well, what happened, do you know? Who shot him?
I did.
No.
I'm sure you won't mind not being introduced. That was Lieutenant Bromley's wife. As you were?
Well, is this what you call the softening up process? What did you find out, Major?
You still claim you didn't know Lieutenant Bromley?
I never saw him before in my life. Now, what'd you find out? I don't particularly enjoy the idea of being under arrest like this.
Well, I never said you were under arrest.
Well, I've spent the better part of a day here.
Did anybody prevent you from leaving?
Now, what do you call them? Drill formation?
Dismissed. You're free to leave, Mr. Colton.
Now, what about my gun?
Yes. But the fact remains that you shot an officer of the Army of the United States in the back.
It was dark, I said.
Yes, you said.
Well, it's the truth. And it's also true that he shot at me first. I heard him yell out the name Pete. I answered. Then the shooting started. We've been through all this before.
I didn't ask you to go through it again.
But you don't seem to be satisfied.
Satisfied? One of my officers dead, not in honorable combat, but shot in the back in the dark? No, Colton, I'm far from being satisfied.
Well, it might have helped if you ran a check on me. I gave you all the information.
I did just that. And I received this telegram from the War Department. William Colton, graduate, West Point, recommended for the Medal of Honor following action in the Battle of Shiloh. Retired as Captain William Colton. Retired 1 short week after Appomattox. Retired or quit? Which was it, Colton?
That's my own personal business.
A career officer of the Army of the United States doesn't have the luxury of his own personal business, and I should think that'd go double for a West Pointer. A good officer is true to his life, his code, takes orders, keeps his mouth shut. You think I personally like this assignment? A miserable police action in a shabby little second-rate town that nobody ever heard of? And why? Because a band of renegade Indians decide to break the treaty boundary and they head south, where some smugglers, whiskey smugglers, take advantage of the situation by selling them firewater. Do you think I like it?
I wouldn't know.
Colton, get out of this town.
I think I'll just stay around for a while. Find out why Lieutenant Bromley tried to kill me.
No, I wouldn't do that if I were you.
Well, like I said, Major, it's my own personal business. I'm sorry to bother you at a time like this.
Please, I'd rather...
I've got to talk to you. I'm sure you think I'm an ice-cold gunman without a heartbeat,
That would serve as a beginning.
Well, I'm not. Believe me, Mrs. Bromley, I can feel as much pain as anyone else about a death, especially one that I had a hand in. And the pity of it is, the real pity, is that like so many deaths, it was a waste. It needn't have happened.
What do you mean by that?
Your husband and I never saw each other before. We're two strangers. Yet one of us killed the other. Does that make sense to you?
Look, why have you come here?
I want to find out the truth. I want to find out why it happened.
Have you never heard, Mr. Colton, about locking the barn door? Well, that applies to cemetery gates as well.
Whether you believe me or not, I was shot at first.
Yes. Yes, I heard the official version. Self-defense? All right, so you've been pronounced blameless, Mr. Colton. Why don't you just forget it and go on with your life? And you might dwell on how fortunate you are to still have a life.
You can mourn something other than the dead, you know. You can mourn a loss of honor. That's what I've lost, and I want it back. Now, please, will you tell me, why did your husband ride out of town last night?
I don't know.
Didn't he tell you why?
No, he didn't.
Didn't you ask him why?
No.
Did he know anyone by the name of Pete?
Look, what are you trying to do?
I'm trying to find out the truth about all of this.
Well, let me tell you something. If you're hoping to ruin the reputation of a man who's not even here to defend himself, well, you can't do that, Mr. Colton, no matter what you insinuate.
Well, forgive me for saying this, although it's really not even an accusation. God knows, under the circumstances, it's not a judgment. But you're lying. Morning. Kind of quiet around here, huh?
Yeah, quiet.
My name is Colton. William Colton.
I know. You've been hanging around town asking questions about Lieutenant Bromley. What do you have?
Oh, whiskey, I guess. Well, maybe you can help me. You any idea why I went out of town that night?
Bromley? He wanted to make himself a hero. He was out to get those whiskey runners single-handedly. Anyway, that's the story.
Whose story? My horse.
Just delivering him to you.
I didn't ask for him.
Well, I know that, but I had to move him out. Ain't got no room.
No room? All of a sudden?
All of a sudden, need the space. Military requisition.
Packing for you. Your room's been taken. Military.
Yeah, military requisition. I know.
my dog.
Well, I'm sorry.
Now you're going to tell me you're lost and want to find your way. Why does everybody, when they're lost, come to me to find the way? What do I look like, a shepherd or something? I'm a miner, man, see? A miner. All right, all right. Road's up over the hill and to the left.
I understand there are whiskey runners in the area.
And you figure I know where they are?
I figure you're an alert, wide-awake fella.
And I figure you're just trying to butter me up, mister. Talk is cheap. Now you're talking.
I'll clear it out.
Pete,
Who called me?
I did.
Who are you?
Let's say I'm a friend of Lieutenant Bromley's.
Who?
We'll talk about it later, after you get rid of your guns. Just unfasten those belts, huh? And drop them. All right, climb down, both of you.
Colton, I didn't send for you to give you a medal, if that's what you're expecting.
Oh, no, I wouldn't want you to overwhelm me with your gratitude, Major.
But you did help tie up the loose ends on Lieutenant Bromley.
What do you mean?
Well, you see, I was afraid I was going to have to put accidental death in my report, and I don't like my officers dying by accident. This way, I'll be able to say, killed in the line of duty. Makes it much more tidy, you know. It keeps everybody happy.
What do you mean, killed in the line of duty? How do you figure that?
Simple. Lieutenant Bromley was just trying to do what you did. Round up those whiskey smugglers. It was dark, he mistook you for one of them. Opened fire. A bit rash, perhaps, yes, but understandable in an ambitious young officer.
I told you he called me Pete.
Oh, Colton, look, it was dark. You were half awake.
One of those whiskey runners answered to the name of Pete.
Yes. Now one of them's dead. No identification on him. And the other one got away. It's going to be a little difficult to check it out.
Oh, I see. Well, I know where I can check it out. This time she better give me some answers.
Colton, it's not her fault. She's not to blame.
Neither am I.
What do you want from me?
The truth.
I must say, Mr. Colton, you're persistent if nothing else.
About the truth? Yes. Yes, I am. Very persistent. Tell me about your husband. What kind of a man was he? Was he a fine, honorable, ambitious young officer, dedicated to the service? Or was he something else?
Please.
Tell me about him, huh? What kind of a man was he? Did he know this fella Pete? This time, you're going to answer my questions. What about Pete? Just what was the connection between your husband and Pete? Who was Pete?
All right. Pete was a man that Robert made some sort of a deal with, and he expected to make a great deal of money out of it.
Whiskey running.
I don't know what it was, but he needed money. He was badly in debt. He was always in debt.
Your husband mistook me for one of his whiskey-running partners, then tried to kill me to cover up his mistake. That's the kind of a man your husband was. Isn't it? Isn't it?
He was a worthless, rotten, self-pampering coward. A swindler and a card cheat. And a wife beater. I'd grown to detest him, but no one knew it. I pretended, and they never found out. They all envied me, my friends in the regiment, because of my handsome, gallant husband. They thought we were the perfect couple, and they still do. I kept my pride. But what happens now, Mr. Colton? Oh, you'll get your honor back. But where in God's name will I get the strength to look another human being in the face again?
I understand your problem, Mrs. Bromley. But what about mine? You understand my position, don't you?
Oh, yes, of course I do. It really wouldn't matter except... Well, it just isn't my pride anymore. I'm going to have a child.
You leaving town, Colton?
Yes, I'm leaving. Nice to have your old friends come around to see you off.
I figured you'd find it heartwarming.
Give my respects to Mrs. Bromley. Tell her I wish her well, huh? And tell her also that I hope it's a boy, that he grows up to be a hero like his father.
I will. Colton, you know, I'd apologize to most men, but I have a feeling you don't expect an apology. You don't need one. But sometimes we might make a mistake. To protect a name, a uniform, and the pride of both.
I don't think there's any doubt about it. And you're quite right. The apology is not required. Luck to you, Major.
Luck to you, Mr. Colton.